12th century Europe, and a secret buried at the very foundation of modern banking. Picture an ordinary pilgrim leaving a small French village, headed for Jerusalem. He carries gold, silver, everything he owns. But the roads are crawling with bandits, the seas with pirates, and death waits at every turn. Then one day he walks up to a group of soldiers in white cloaks, marked with a blood-red cross. He hands over every coin he has, and in return, he receives nothing but a piece of paper. A receipt. No one at the time could have imagined that this simple slip of parchment would one day become the blueprint for the entire global financial system. This is the story of the Knights Templar, warrior monks who fought with swords and crosses, but who also invented something far more dangerous than any blade, the power of money itself. And this is not just a story of rise, it is the story of a fall, engineered by a king who owed them more than he could ever repay, and who lit the match to erase the debt along with the men who were owed it. The Knights Templar began in 1119 when a French knight named Hugues de Payon gathered a handful of companions and made a vow to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem. In the beginning, they were so poor that 2 knights reportedly rode on a single horse, but fate had something far larger in store. The church granted them official recognition, and soon wealthy families across Europe began signing over land, treasure, and entire estates in their name. This was not simple piety. It was an investment. People believed that donating to the Templars secured their place in heaven, and that spiritual fear, that desperate hope, transformed a band of penniless knights into the wealthiest landowning institution in Europe. But the true revolution came when the Templars solved a problem that had haunted merchants and pilgrims for centuries: how to carry wealth safely across a continent without losing it to thieves along the way. They invented what we would now recognize as an early letter of credit. A traveler could deposit gold at a Templar house in London, receive a coded note in return, and then present that same note at a Templar outpost in Jerusalem to withdraw the equivalent sum, without ever carrying a single coin across the journey. This was the ancestor of the modern check, centuries before most of the world was still hauling sacks of coins from town to town. The Templar network stretched from France to England, Spain, and the Crusader states of the Holy Land, a web of fortresses, commanderies, and trading posts functioning as an international bank long before the word bank even existed. The Templars didn't just hold deposits, they lent money, and lent it to the most powerful people in Christendom. Kings, princes, even popes borrowed from them. England's King Henry III relied on them so heavily that the Temple Church in London became the safest treasury in the kingdom, a vault where royal jewels and crown funds were stored. In France, the Paris Temple functioned as something close to a national treasury for the monarchy itself. Consider the irony: a religious military order sworn to poverty and chastity had quietly become the largest creditor to the crowned heads of Europe. They had their own fleet, their own farmland, their own fortified strongholds, and a financial network no single kingdom could rival. This was the turning point. Men once seen as the guardians of kings had become their creditors, and a creditor, no matter how sacred his order, is never far from becoming an enemy in the eyes of the man who owes him. Then came the king, whose name would be forever bound to the Templars' destruction: Philip IV of France, known as Philip the Fair. His treasury was empty. Wars, royal excess, and financial mismanagement had pushed the crown to the edge of bankruptcy. He had already expelled Jewish merchants and seized their property, debased the currency, and finally he turned his gaze toward the one institution wealthier than the crown itself, the very order he owed the most. On the morning of October 13th, 1307, a date still remembered as the origin of the unlucky Friday the 13th superstition, hundreds of Templars across France were arrested in a single coordinated strike. The charges were heresy, blasphemy, secret and forbidden rites. But underneath the accusations was a much simpler motive: seize their wealth and erase the debt along with them. Over the next 7 years, the Templars were tortured into false confessions, and Philip pressured Pope Clement V until the entire order was dissolved. Then came the moment every documentary remembers. On March 18, 1314, on an island in the Seine in Paris, the Templars' last Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burned alive at the stake. Legend holds that as the flames consumed him, he cursed both King Philip and Pope Clement to stand before God's judgment within the year. Strangely enough, Pope Clement died within a month, and King Philip himself was dead before the year was out. Coincidence, or the kind of justice history sometimes delivers when no earthly court will? 7 centuries later, every bank, every check, every letter of credit in the modern world still traces its lineage back to those warrior monks, men who mastered the art of protecting other people's fortunes, but who, in the end, could not protect their own lives.